guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of The Fishing Teacher, and really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel today and checking out the video. Guys, today we're going to be talking about glide baits because in my opinion, October is the #1 month of the entire year to fish a glide bait in. And one of the things I like to do here on the channel is I like to give you guys tips and advice on things you can use right now when the videos come out, like seasonal tips. So if there's one piece of advice I can give you guys as far as catching them on glide baits, if you want to catch a bass on a glide bait, maybe you have caught a few or you've never caught one and you want to, today's going to be a really good juicy video to help you guys out catching some fish on glide baits in October. Also, guys, before we get started, I just wanted to let you guys know, you probably heard me talking about it. I've got my new Blaukat Power Finesse Throwback jig out by Cumberland Pro Lures. This is my finesse model of a throwback jig. It's got living rubber, frog hair skirt on it, hand tied. This is a jig, guys, you can fish on 20-pound test line or on 12-pound test line. I usually rig it up with a Zoom Super Chunk Junior on it, and it's a really good bait in the fall time of the year. You can take this little Power Finesse jig, fish it on bluff banks, fish it on rocky banks, fish it around boat docks. Really, really good in the month of October, November, and December. So I'll put my Blaukat Throwback Power Finesse jig link in the description of the video if you guys would like to order a few of them. I think you guys will really like them. Okay, we do some stuff on glide bait fishing, guys, occasionally here on the channel. And glide baits, it's really an unusual bait to talk about as far as on these YouTube videos because, to be honest with you, they don't get a lot of interest. Like, there's people that are interested in it sort of mildly a little bit. Some people could care less, and some people are fanatics about fishing glide baits. But it is an interesting lure category because, make no mistake about it, guys, a glide bait will get you a big bite. It's a very high risk, high reward lure in terms of you can throw it all day long and you might not catch one on it. You can throw it all day long and you might get some big fish following it, or you might get a couple big ones to commit to it. And if you want to fish a glide bait and you haven't had much success on it, this is the time of year to fish it. The month of October, that's what we're going to get into today's video. And also, guys, I'll link some of my favorite glide baits in my Tackle Warehouse link in the description of the video here. There's a lot of glide baits out there, but there's a couple on the market that I would suggest. I'll put the link in the description to them. But in general, we're talking about the glide baits in today's video that are over 6 inches long. This actually is a homemade one right here. One of my subscribers sent to me, but this bait here is probably close to 8 inches long. You know, but for the most part, you're talking about glide baits, 6 to 8 inches long. Now they get them bigger than that. I mean, there's some glide baits that are 10 or 11 inches long, but those are pretty much relegated to like fishing in California and Florida. Those are the 3 best states too, guys. Most of the glide bait fishing that takes place in this country, the successful glide bait anglers are from California, Texas, or Florida, simply because they got bigger bass there and they bite those lure categories. And that's one of the first things to remember is when you're fishing a glide bait is you have to be on a body of water that has some quality fish in it. If you're on a body of water that has a lot of small fish in it and it's not really that great of a fishery, or it's a heavily fished public body of water, you're probably wasting your time on a glide bait. You need to have a lake that either is a large lake that has a decent population of 4-pound fish in it or bigger, or a lake that doesn't get much fishing pressure. That's going to be the main thing. Again, public bodies of water that get a lot of fishing pressure, that are tough fishing, are not where you want to throw these things out. The first thing that you have to do when you're fishing a glide bait is you have to have a shift in the mentality that of your expectations for the day, because you will not get a lot of bites on this bait. It's a bait that you're after one bite. You're after a hog. You're after the biggest bass you've ever caught. So when you're trying to have successful days with a glide bait, you have to make a commitment to it. Here's the best piece of advice I can give you on glide bait fishing if you really want to catch some fish on a glide bait is take 2 glide baits with you out on the water and 2 rods. Don't take anything else in the boat with you. So you'll be forced to throw a glide bait all day long. If you go out there and try to throw a glide bait for 15 or 20 minutes and then put it down because it's wearing you out or you're not getting any bites on it, you're never going to do any good. Everyone that catches them on a glide bait commits to the glide bait all day long. So you got to remember that shift in the personality. The next thing with it is how you want to work a glide bait. Now, we talk about this some on the channel, but I want to reiterate the importance of this. Glide baits are, most of the time, they're jointed like this, and they're designed to, they go like this through the water when you reel them, just sort of a slow back and forth. But like I've said in some of the past videos, guys, you want to work a glide bait like a subtle jerk bait. So the way I work a jerk bait is, a lot of people just cast it out and reel it slow, just goes like that back and forth. I work it like a subtle jerk bait. I'll cast it out, I'll go boom, boom, boom. And what this does is it makes that jerk bait go, it darts harder, side to side like that. Darts harder, and then it'll like keep going like that, then darts back forth like that. That is what is going to trigger more strikes than anything. And it's very important to remember that you're going to get, in cleaner water, a lot of bass that come up and look at this thing. It's like, this is the one of the reasons why people are fascinated by it, because you get a lot of big ones. They'll swim up from behind it like this, and they look at it and they'll just swim away. If you have a fish that's doing that, and say you're working your bait, you know, through the water like this, and you see one coming up on it, speed it up like that. Try to get it out of there. It's like, start reeling it real fast. And a lot of times that triggers that instinct aspect of the bass, and they'll come out and dart out and get it. Not all the time, but sometimes they do that. Okay, the other thing about glide baits is you got to have the right equipment. Now, depending upon the size of your glide bait, you can get by with a flipping stick, or you may have to get by with like even a heavier outfit. A lot of the glide baits that are out there now, they weigh 4, 5, 6 ounces. So sometimes you need a extra heavy action 8-foot rod. You know, Megabass makes one called the Warhammer. It's a good rod for it. I like to use a flipping stick if I can get by with it. Got to have the right type of equipment with it. Next, you have to have a reel that will handle some larger line and lots of it. So sometimes you need a little bit larger spool reel. I'll link a couple reels in the description of this video that I suggest for glide bait fishing, but you need to have a deeper, large spool reel that will handle 25-pound test fluorocarbon line, that's what I use all the time on glide baits. 25-pound test Seaguar Vizix line is the line I use for all of them. So the combination of that big stiff rod, where you can make a two-handed cast and has a lot of line on it, where you can make a long cast, and then has the power to set the hook on that thing from the distance, is really critical. Okay, now, just as important as anything, as far as we went through the basics of working it, is where you throw a glide bait in the month of October. Now, glide bait fishing is very situational in terms of the fish have got to be just in the right frame of mind. They got to be just in the right personality to actually bite the thing and not look at it. So if I can give you a piece of advice, is go out there on low light days. You need to go out there on the days that have at least 75% overcast. You can have a day that the sun peeps out occasionally, but it's better to have a cloudy day. It's even better to have a rainy day, combined with water clarity of at least 3 foot. I like at least 3 foot of visibility for a glide bait. My favorite visibility is probably 3 to 5 foot. Low light day, clouds, rain, and wind. If you have the combination of that wind and the low light conditions and the clear water, your odds go way up as far as actually catching fish on a glide bait and not having the fish look at it and move away. If you go out there with water visibility, say 3 to 5 foot, and you got like a sunny day with not much wind on it, you're not going to catch much on a glide bait. It's just, you might get some followers on it, but you're probably not going to catch very many fish unless you're throwing it past some type of an ambush point. My favorite places to fish a glide bait in October, there's 3 different structures I like. Number 1 is paralleling a bluff bank. I like to get on those bluff banks, make long casts parallel to that bluff bank, just cover water. My second is points. We talk about points constantly here on the channel. Points, secondary main lake points, especially the ones that have some wind on it, are really good structures. But my favorite October structure for fishing a glide bait, without a doubt, is a dock. Boat docks, especially floating boat docks, are magnets for October bass on a glide bait. It provides ambush points for them. A lot of times these fish are suspended underneath the floats in October. If you have a lake that has water visibility, actually on docks you can get by with a little less visibility. Say if you have a dock that has 2 foot of visibility, 2 to 4 foot, this is a perfect situation. Take that glide bait, make a long cast down the front of the dock, and then position your boat around and come down each side of the dock with it. And try to get as close to the dock as you can. Those fish will not come out from that dock a long way. You got to get that bait within 3 or 4 inches of that dock if possible, which is tough to do sometimes because a lot of times these glide baits, they cast like potato chips. You know, you'll cast it out there and it'll sail off to the right if the wind hits it right. So that's a pretty tough way to catch them. But just stay on those 3 things, guys: bluffs, points, and docks, and you'll probably do pretty good with the glide bait. But anyway, guys, I will link everything. I'll put some of my favorite glide baits and link in the description. I'll put some of those reels in there. And if you want to try to catch one on a glide bait, not a better time to do it from now over the next month or so. So hope it helps out. We'll talk later.